Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order. Please stand as we say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Very sure.
Okay, can we have the roll call, please?
Secretary Guy,
Here.
Director Whiting,
Here.
Director Rodriguez.
Here.
Thank you. And for the benefit of everybody else, Steve Brown and Chuck Adams are both out this evening. Okay. Is Steve calling in, do we know, or?
I have not heard of that.
Okay. And we'll continue going. So let's continue with the committee reports.
Mr. Secretary / Acting President, the Real Estate Committee met on February 17th. And the Executive Committee to set this agenda met on the 4th of March.
Okay, thank you very much.
I believe there were 7 minutes that need to be approved.
Send it to the agenda.
Thank you very much.
I apologize, I didn't say it again.
So I need to request that the minutes from the previous meeting are accepted and approved. So,
On February the 12th, 2026. That meeting,
yes, from February 12th, 2026. I'll ask for a motion to accept and approve the minutes.
I approve.
Okay, so you're gonna move?
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. Okay. Shall we jump into the general manager's report?
So,
Wait a minute, I apologize, the committee report, what was on the committee report?
February 17th, Real Estate Committee met. March 4th, the Executive Committee met and set this agenda.
And set this agenda. Oh, this agenda, I got it, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So, last week, Mike and I had the opportunity to go down to San Diego and participate in the NBAA International Operators Conference.
Yes.
I've been in airport management for a long time, and I never really had reason to delve into that world. I was blown away.
Awesome.
I found myself sitting there like, what's that acronym? It's just, they had sessions where they broke up the planet and had experts talk about operating aircraft into those areas. And it's complicated. We got to really super great people. We got to meet them and really understand what they're already our tenant, or not our tenant, but our tenants, that are our customers, but to understand their customs needs. That was the goal, and to make some connections. And I really appreciate the district allowing us to do that.
Awesome.
It was really informative. A lot of corporations and their flight crews and dispatchers, it's amazing. And then Mike and I are going to go next to the Schedulers and Dispatchers Conference in Cleveland. That's when you really get into the people that are doing the hard work to coordinate these flights, customs procedures and all that. So I think I'm really looking forward to it. I got what I was hoping I would get out of it.
Okay.
That, are these people going to let us in? And the answer is heck yeah. They're more than happy to talk to us and talk shop.
Awesome.
Great.
Okay, and did you bring back any information relative to our customs and ways that are going to benefit?
I came back with more questions than answers.
Okay. Okay.
So people ask me some very polite questions. That's a great question. I don't have an answer for you. I'm going to work on that.
Okay.
So I think we'll get even more into that because this was more of like ground handlers, dispatchers, flight crews, lots of flight crews. That's the focus. Those flight crews aren't scheduling where customs are doing maybe they are to some degree, but it's that ground support group that's coordinating all the paperwork and scheduling, you know, flights and all that stuff. That's what's gonna be the week after next. So, yeah. And then we have, yeah, we got some work cut out for us. I know the customs, position, the advertising's closed. I don't know where they're at in selection, but it's in progress.
Okay.
And there's some punch list items on the building that we're finishing now, but we're getting there. So, now's the time for us to be talking to folks.
Okay.
Marketing. And, but it's a niche kind of market, you were saying. It's not marketing to the general public, we're marketing to people who have business flights that could come in that could benefit by getting through our customs in 15 minutes and onto their business.
It is the people in that room last week.
That you were at.
Yeah, it's literally that specific. And, next week it'll be, it'll be a even more niche group of people that do scheduling and figure out what their options are, for where to re-enter the country. One interesting thing we're talking to, I don't remember that name, the company, you recognize the name. And they're at Des Moines, we're having lunch with them. And they're like, oh, we don't go anywhere near California because their customers is China and Chile. And you got to think, oh, yeah, remember Great Circle? They leave the United States over Canada to get to China. So you gotta start thinking, well, where's those great circles coming from that make our operation competitive, ideal?
Yeah.
So, and I really hadn't thought of that also. Tuesday, I had the pleasure of making a presentation on drones, of all things, at the request of the Santa Maria Association of Realtors. Very nice group of people.
Okay.
And we just talked drones, and then, of course, they asked me other things about the airport, so it's a lovely day.
Do they have concerns about drones? Is that why the topic was selected?
Um,
Or did you get to choose it?
Well, I think commercial use of drones and marketing of real estate is, I mean, it's here. So,
Yeah.
and they just want to understand what our concerns were, and we just had a conversation about it. Part 107, which is the commercial operation drone, and the piloting of those drone operators. I thought there would be actual ones, I was surprised there were no 107 operators. But I just brought up our webpage and like I said, explained that we don't control aircraft, including drones. And just walk through what I know and point in a certain direction. It was great just to talk to them and realize how concerned they were. I don't think they're gonna cause us any trouble because of all the geograding.
Yeah.
And they're professional, they don't wanna get in trouble. And so it's just, general information. I don't think so much. They're just looking for somebody to come talk to them about something that's relative to their business.
Well, there's a lot of talk about drones, both in the war in Ukraine as well as what's going on in the Middle East right now. So it makes sense. Yeah. So,
As you know, this afternoon, for around lunchtime, we were at the state of Vandenberg and learned about rockets and the future of Vandenberg, and the future is growing. And I think we're gonna be able to participate in that some way.
We've got the runway for it.
Yep.
One thing that Martin and I were talking about is that they're forecasting triple the amount of growth. Not double, but triple in the next 2 years, I believe.
Yeah.
It's, I went into copies of some of the slides, so the growth that they're anticipating is monumental. And they talked about doubling the staff of personnel that are on the base now.
Like 20,000 people.
More
Yeah,
than 5
both
years.
military and civilian, yeah.
Nice. We're gonna be a hub
Start
of
building homes.
activity.
Yeah.
It's with the drones, what do we do to protect ourselves from those drones up in our skies above us?
If I did something to a drone, I'd be committing a federal offense.
I looked on my phone and it said that if a drone flies in your window and is hovering in your living room, you cannot shoot it.
Well, I don't know if you'd want to shoot a drone in your living room.
I would, if you're sitting in my living room and it'd be looking like they're going to try to shoot me, I don't know anything about it, I'll
Just
just
close the
blast
window.
it.
Yeah.
Just close the window.
And
Screens
have-
on.
Have it out with them.
My phone said just put a blanket over, it. We call it authorities.
Yeah. That is an ongoing conversation. There's a really, it's probably 6 months ago now. The House Aviation, Subcommittee had some presentations on drones, maybe it's a year ago now. And, there were representatives from, I think it was Denver, but large airports that have been doing pilot programs. The only people that control aircraft are the federal government. We can have an opinion about it, we can express that opinion, but we can't interfere in it. And that was the gist of what the airport people were saying, is like, so they're doing certain things to monitor at the, like, as a pilot program, to monitor, see if what the issue is. But then what do you do with that information? You call 911, that's a local law enforcement, it's not the federal government. So, but in the case of the realtor folks that are using this tool lawfully, the geograding, I don't think you could get in trouble. Because you have to get permission to override that geofencing to do anything that might even be approached being a problem for us. And, you know, evildoers, I don't know what to do.
There's not much we can do about it with laws in place, you can't shoot them down, period.
Well, it's not just the law, but the drone will not enter airspace, restricted airspace, as well as around our airport. I have a drone and I can only fly so far and the drone will return on its own. It won't go into certain areas.
Oh, because of that space that we have around it.
Yes.
Geofencing or something.
Yeah, there's a whole online program you can go through to get permission from ATC. It's actually our tower manager
That will allow
that will maybe
or govern.
will decide whether she wants to allow. And because she represents federal government in that capacity of air traffic control.
Okay.
So it's her decision. We're allowed to have an opinion. We have an issue, they want us to tell them. But I don't think drones are a problem. I think they're only gonna become, there's only gonna be more of them. And, were you at the Rotary meeting when, PD presented what their.
Yes. Pretty amazing.
It's drone use and 911 response, where they get there before police are even physically able to get there. And put eyes on with a screen showing what's going on in real time. And you're like, wow, they told what the price was, and it's very expensive. But then they said, you know, a panicked person calls a dispatcher calls a police officer over the radio, and it's this very gray, unclear issue, and the police go racing to it. They put eyes on it and can decide that it's not that big of a deal and back their speed down, and in the process, prevent one fatal traffic accident. All of it pays for it.
Yeah, they showed that the drone could actually arrive while the person's still on the phone with the dispatch. It's pretty amazing how quickly they're sent out.
And it's not just regular cameras, it's infrared, it's all, and it's what they'll have in 10 years, you know, be amazing.
Really,
I could see us, not in my tenure, but I could see us having a similar type drone as part of our operation. Surveillance. Something's happened on the other side of the field, and in accordance with the tower and
Yeah.
all sorted out, boom, it takes us how long to get to the other side of the airport? 10, 15 minutes sometimes. They get certain places.
Yeah.
Boom, we'd have a drone looking at somebody trespassing on the south side of the airport or something. We have Part 139 requirements where we're in TSA requirements, we're supposed to do perimeter inspections and constant surveillance. You have somebody just in a central place flying that drone on the fence. All kind of application they could use.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of time. I don't think it's something to be scared of. It's like a tool.
The tool. Yeah,
Tools can
exactly
be used
that.
for good or bad.
So the airlines are using them to inspect the outside of the aircraft with the drones.
One last thing, a very good piece of news came through. I don't know if I talked about it. With the runway project, been waiting on, the runway project, in the actual approved project included runway light replacement. In this, to the same linear distance as the area of this section of runway that was the pavement that was replaced, that stopped. So then you have old, and beyond that, you have beautiful new runway lights, and then the old ones that are different colors. So we submitted a change order probably 6 months ago, asking for permission to replace all the lighting. And this week we got approval of that change order. So we're gonna be back on the runway as soon as the equipment comes in, and in a matter of a month or so, whatever it takes to schedule, we'll have all new runway lighting on our main runway.
Awesome, okay.
How much more for the lights?
It's only, it's 100 something grand. I don't remember off the top of my head. It's under 200, which is, that world is a moderate
Cheap.
price
Really?
at 95%. So it's
Yeah.
gonna cost us 10 grand and have a brand new rental lights.
It makes it a lot easier for the pilots, because I've actually received some comments from GA pilots here that it's, the difference in lighting can sometimes, take away their focus.
Yeah.
Well, it took away my focus from the street, looking over, going, dang, those lights look really nice at night as I'm passing by, it's really lit up.
Did you notice the contrast where the
Did
old ones?
you know what, I'm trying to focus, but I'm looking over and I saw the first half look really good. Didn't get a chance to really sit there and
Yeah.
just stare at it.
Well, it's all gonna look good when we're done.
I think so too, so a couple $100,000 for all the lights and it's all in? And do they take payments or we just pay them up front or are we just done?
Do it the same way we do in projects, so reimbursable grant. So we already have them under contract. We have the contractor in the queue. We just need to get the equipment here and schedule.
That's great,
Piece of cake.
that's great.
Good job, Martin.
Yeah.
And we have a conversation with the FAA schedule for Monday. We're working on some details about what our next, well, I hope will be 2 projects with taxi lanes on the hangars and a parallel taxi.
Taxi.
You know, there's taxiway out for the parallel, the next phase of it. And our hangar taxi lanes.
Mhm.
I won't get into that minutia because of the change a week after talking to the FAA, but we're working towards
Making
queuing
that
up our next projects. Hopefully Monday will go well and they'll agree to do it the way we want.
So just out of curiosity, because I don't know, Martin, when we do that, obviously there's a schedule, we post the schedule. How do the hangar tenants know what the schedule is when we make those modifications?
Yeah, in the hangar area, they will be right up in their business.
So we'll
And
be
we're
talking to them.
walking across, and I think we're gonna do it in like 3 phases, same when it all comes together, we get funded. And we will be in their way,
Yeah,
so, you know, we'll put the word out,
okay,
and, the feedback I've received secondhand, I haven't been directly involved with the planning of it. In, you know, Tortalia's been out there, and they've actually, the tenants out there asking what they're up to, they've been very responsive. Work needs to get done,
yeah.
so.
I had one of the hangar tenants send me a photograph of.
It's single.
Yeah, it was single. It was small, but nonetheless, yeah.
It's evidence of the need for some pavement.
Yeah, it falls in line exactly what you've been saying since I've been on the board, that we need to do this as the next follow-on step. And it's happening, so thank you for doing that.
So that's all I have.
Did you want to make any comments about American Airlines? So
Uh,
we have some people in the room, in addition to,
May 7th, they will discontinue service.
okay,
We did not have sufficient loads for them to feel comfortable proceeding, which is very important. So we're gonna do anticipate we'll do some form of debrief, lessons learned from this, and there's some work Carrie's doing to get a feel for where we're at with the rest of the airlines. And then your board's gonna need to make some decisions. We're in budget season. And there are certain budget ramifications, there's things we spend serious money on to support airline service.
Yeah.
If we're not gonna have daily airline service, should we be spending that money? Which is complicated because you have to unwind certain operational relationships with certain agencies.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a serious conversation,
Okay,
but we will do our due diligence to provide you with as many options to consider.
okay. And I know that Carrie has already scheduled a follow-on meeting following many of the other meetings we've had with the city of Santa Maria and with the Chamber of Commerce. So we can go through the details.
One of our challenges is we have an airline, Allegiant Airline, all the things we need to do to support their operation and be legal with 139 and TSA requirements. You know, we still have to do that. We don't want to undermine them because they put us in as a primary airport, which translates into over $1 million entitlement money through AIP every year. So
Yeah, we
that
have
operation, there's knock-on benefits that we don't want to lose. So we need to, and they have to have the flexibility to move their schedule or take delays. So reduce certain services because there isn't 24-hour service, or daily service. But in the process, do we undermine their operation? So we have to have a conversation.
Well, I know you brought it up previously as well. We need to have some of those discussions as we go through all the budget items, because some of the budget items fall into a different area now. We won't be budgeting as much money in certain areas because we no longer need certain services.
Yeah, it's gonna be an eventful couple months coming.
I've been watching you downscale already, how you were moving people around and getting rid of people. I saw, I think you, just the people that you don't need to speak on your behalf anywhere anymore because you don't need them anymore because you got what we needed. And so you're kind of downsizing and shifting money. I saw that, and you're doing a great job at what you're doing, so.
I appreciate that. There's more to do.
There's a lot.
There's a lot to do, isn't there?
So that's all I have.
Okay, so then we move on to the Manager of Finance and Administration report.
Yeah, so tonight I have the pleasure of presenting to you both the demand register and the financial statements. If you've already reviewed the demand register, again, both of these reports are just received in file. I have a PowerPoint for financial statements. But if you have any questions on the demand register, I'm available for any questions.
Okay, so I don't have any questions on the demand register, but relative to your PowerPoints. So we do need to see the PowerPoints before we start voting on the resolutions.
Yeah,
So are you saying that after demand register, we'll
So-
do P&L and then go through the PowerPoints?
so the PowerPoints are for the financial statements.
Okay,
And then we'll have public session after you get the financial statements. It's a little bit more easier to read than what you have right there.
okay.
But if you have any questions on the demand register,
I don't have any questions. I don't know
No.
if either of you guys do.
and then I'll go into the financial statement. Yeah. Oh,
On the.
is it not both of them?
That's what we're gonna go on next. So on the demand register, so if there's no comments, we need a motion and a second in order to approve the demand register as presented this evening. That would be. Yeah, no. You might be under here.
It's these guys right here.
Oh, you're missing it.
Section.
Oh, there it is. It's on the back page. There you go. Okay.
Well, I've already seen this.
Okay, so Marvin moved that we accept the demand register as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
None opposed. Okay, so we'll move on to the financial statements now.
All right, so let me go ahead and share my screen. And so what I have for you, what you have in your packet is the financial statements. However, these are all very detailed. But what I have is a little bit more condensed, so it should be a little bit easier to read for you. And it just highlights some of the key points that are in the financial statements, but in a much more user-friendly form. Just a second.
Are we done with advanced media of New York?
Not on the agenda.
It was the one we just approved. The bills, so we're done with them now.
I can get that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good, so like you're saying, we're not doing anything with it.
Oh, yeah. And Martin has already started the discussion with us relative to the budget and also March's finances, so.
And if I could clarify, advanced media, that invoice was for last year's services, so if that's kind of what that was for, that's why we're sold. Okay, so we got that presented. The first report that I have for you is the budget to actual, so I'm sure if you have your packet, it's a very detailed report. But right here, we have our budget to actuals. This is an overall view of the organization as a whole, not operating, but just from A to Z. So our total income is pretty on par with what we have budgeted. It's a little bit over, which is a good thing. Our expenses are also a little bit under, another good thing. These, and I'll touch on in another slide, these are mainly due to timing of each of our individual income and expenses, because a lot of what happens is kind of based off of different quarters throughout the year.
Well, could you do us a favor, Mike? It would be helpful, like, so we have the big items.
Yeah.
Which are the fish and wildlife, runway, modifications, the big ones. And then we got the normal month-to-month running tally. Is there a way that, that we could separate that out? Because the big ones are gonna happen, we know, but like you said, it's a timing issue.
Yeah, so
They're gonna go away.
So-
And then
But the
we know
month
what
of month,
base is.
those are great questions. Let's go ahead and go through the
Okay.
rest of the slides, and then I can answer any other questions
Okay.
and take your suggestions.
Okay.
But so we'll have the budget to actuals, and to your point, yes,
I
that's
already
on
read
a-
ahead.
yeah,
that's why
it's on another slide.
I'll wait. Okay.
So the next thing we have is a little bit more detailed, and that's a little bit hard to read. But this is our budget
Marvin can read it.
actual
I was gonna say, that's pretty good.
or
pretty good.
our revenues.
Is
So
there a way we could project up here too, so the members of the audience can see? Or is it no? Is it one or the other?
Yeah.
Okay, it's one or the
If it
other.
was pre-planned, yes.
Okay.
tax revenues are under due to property tax revenues typically being received later in the spring.
Yeah.
So they're a little bit under, not by a significant amount. They're still on par for the rest of the fiscal year. Our next largest overage of revenue is our AIP reimbursement. This is primarily related to all of the airway taxi lane work that we've been doing this year.
Mhm.
Again, it's pretty on par with what we had budgeted. These are mainly due to timing variances. Our next slide, and that's even harder to read, sorry about that, is our budget to actuals for expenses. So our highest costs are really consulting, advertising, and the consulting is mainly due to security and fire services. Those increase in costs were due to American Airlines and the money we spent to host them.
Increase the
Exactly. So
Resources,
they
yeah.
were not budgeted because the airline actually took service in after the fiscal year. So that's why the actuals are not in line with. Our next slide is the balance sheet. These are just condensed figures for you. Right here, we have our assets, which is, if you've had an accounting class, it's what you own. Your liabilities, it's what you owe. And your net position is your overall financial health. So current assets are typically reflective of your cash on hand, or invoices that people need to pay. So that's kind of the big one that you want to look at. Non-current assets are things like land and buildings, so those are things that aren't as liquid. Current liabilities, kind of the inverse, those are expenses that we are gonna be paying soon. Long-term liabilities are things we're gonna be paying within a year or so. So we're doing okay assets wise, however, and I'll go on a little bit further. Our income statement is going to show that our revenues are still not keeping up with operating expenses. So I think I mentioned this in my first meeting, our operating revenues should typically be meeting whatever we're expending for operations, and they're not. And so that's represented there on the operating income. It's a loss of 400,000. So let me go to the next slide. Next slide we have is our cash flow statement. So we have net income less all of our capital expenditures. So these are things that we've spent already that we've been reimbursed typically for airport improvement projects. So it's about 7 million for the fiscal year. And our cash at the end of this period of time, so this is February 28th, is 3.9 million. So it doesn't look like a lot, and that's because we're constantly in a deficit. Because our operating revenues don't exceed our operating expenditures.
That's based upon the budget, which is based upon the picture before we had American Airlines, and we knew going into this that our operating expenses were going to go up outside of the budget.
Correct.
We just needed to detail that in the description.
Yeah, and there's a little bit more to that, but I'll go on to that on the next presentation that I do for you in a couple of
And
minutes.
that was supposed to be flanked by full planes all day long. That's
Yeah.
supposed to be flanked by that. And with that in play, we would still be in play doing this with American Airlines.
Mhm.
We couldn't get over the amount of money that they would want to see us bring in. It's sad because that was during the winter months. And during the summer months, it was getting better all the way. It was just climbing. They didn't give us enough time.
Well, think about what the question is where are they repositioning those airplanes for the summer? I mean, you notice we got them during the winter, the odd months. Who's getting them during the heavy traffic months?
So at the request of President Brown, at our first meeting, he had requested we have an ongoing bank balance. So this is going to be a part of the financial statements going forward. It is a treasurer's report, so it's showing our beginning bank balance. So this is not going to tie to any of the financial statements as of right now, because the beginning bank balance is not in line with the balance sheet or the income statements, just because of different timing differences exactly.
Yeah.
So our ending cash balance, including all of our investments, is 4.1 million, pretty close to our cash flow statement. But yeah, so the next slide we have is just a summary. Budget revenues are on target for the fiscal year. Expenses are not going to be on target towards the end of the fiscal year, again, because of the advertising costs and consulting costs. Cash flows,
Well,
so
actually, where it says budget, its expenses are not covered. Are
correct,
not currently,
Over budget.
correct,
so they're not currently over budget for the fiscal year.
correct.
Okay.
But maybe by the end of the fiscal year.
Right, that's the timing. of-
Exactly. So the next portion that I have is our cash flows. So as stated, revenues are not keeping up with our costs to run the airport. Lagging cash flow could mean the inability to meet ongoing costs. Our net position is healthy, mainly due to our assets that we have, the non-current assets.
Mhm.
But the negative cash is, it's needing to be adjusted mainly due to how little we've been charging rent fees.
Are you looking at ways to cut the budget?
So that is one of the other things that we'll be looking at the next budget cycle. And we'll have better projections for you as well in a future board meeting. However, this does emphasize the need for healthy reserves going forward. Again, that'll kind of tie into another,
Presentation.
yeah, my next presentation. But with that, do you have any questions?
I think it's pretty clear.
Yeah, my only comment would be to Director Clayton that, yes, that the real estate committee has been meeting with tenants ahead of them getting an increase in their cost. So we can try to avoid what happened last time with the tea hangers. So we're ahead of the game with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you, and that concludes the financial statement presentation. Is this a review file or does it need to be approved?
That was just fun.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, there we go.
Okay.
And starting, I added the PowerPoint too. Yeah, that.
Oh, you did? Okay, I couldn't access it before the meeting, so I'm going off of the email agenda and.
Well, I just did.
Okay,
Yeah.
so when we look in the archive, it's there. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Good. Okay, so that's financial statements. We move on to public session. Statements from the floor will be heard during public session. Request to speak forms are provided for those wishing to address the board. After completing the form, please give it to the clerk. Requests requiring board action will be referred to staff and brought on the next appropriate agenda. Members of the public are cordially invited to speak on agenda items as they occur. Staff reports covering agenda items are available for review in the offices of the general manager on the Tuesday prior to each meeting. The board will establish a time limit for receipt of testimony. The board reserves the right to establish further time limits for receipt of testimony. And do we have any public session requests? Okay. No requests, so then we will move on to item number 6, resolution 954. A resolution of the Board of Directors of the Santa Maria Public Airport District adopting a structurally balanced budget policy.
All right, and so for this one, I have another presentation. So let me share my screen again.
What he's going to show us. He's got another PowerPoint for us.
And so the policies that are listed here, they are in your agenda packet in detail. This is just hitting on the key points. Okay, so the first item, and I can always pause and wait for you guys to approve before we go on to the next one. The first one is the structurally balanced budget policy. This policy is pretty simple. It identifies the need for maintaining a structurally balanced budget. And by doing so, it is kind of our lever to enforce that ongoing expenses need to meet ongoing revenues and vice versa. And that one-time revenues are to only be used for one-time expenses. This is also a requirement by the FAA to be as self-sustaining as possible. But if you have any questions on the policy itself, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
That's better than Old County.
It is. Okay, great.
No questions.
So there's no questions. I know it seems elementary that we would have these items, but I think it's important. It shows a level of transparency within the community, letting people know that not only do we know, but Mike's also going to hold us accountable. He's going to hold the district accountable to being financially prudent. So based on that, I'm asking if somebody will make a motion to accept item number 6, which is resolution 954.
I will make that motion on resolution number 954 to accept this imbalanced budget. You're on it.
I second.
Okay, and all in favor? Aye. None opposed? Well, these are all roll call, each one of them? Okay. Carrie, would you please do a roll call vote?
Acting President Guy,
Yes.
Director Clayton,
Yes.
Director Rodriguez.
Yes.
Thank you, Carrie. Next item, item number 7, resolution 955, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Santa Maria Public Airport District adopting an investment policy.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and go to the next slide. So the investment policy, again, this is all in detail in your agenda packet. But it is essentially to identify the method and instruments by which we can invest the district's cash. It's public funds, so with public funds, we basically want three things. One, that it's safe investments, two, that they are liquid, and three, that the yield is at or above market rate of return. But that third one is secondary to the first two, safety and liquidity, because we want to be good stewards of the public funds. The investment policy is very detailed, in that it designates who is to invest what and what we can and can't invest. A lot of the investments are typically going to be, they're going to be a liquid investment, but they're also going to be something that is relatively safe, and the yield is typically market rate. A lot of our investments, as we saw in the treasurer's report, are in pooled cash funds. So there are different government agencies or contractors for government agencies that pull together different local districts funds, invest it, and then that way everybody's money is pretty liquid. Is there any questions?
Okay, if there's no questions, then I'm going to ask for a motion to approve resolution 955.
The investment policy.
Oh,
I think that's one.
yeah, the investment, item number 7 on the agenda. So this one right here, item number 7, resolution 955, adopting an investment policy.
In the investment policy, we already have an investment going on right now. I looked at your other screens.
Yes.
Before we got to this, I saw that. It was more than, how much was that we had in there?
We have about, I can go and pull it up, but I believe that it was close to maybe 3 million. Yeah, it's about 3 million,
And that's that we had invested.
correct.
And that's not counting the liquid cash we got, or is that considered liquid cash?
That is, so we have our checking account, which is 1.1 million, was the beginning bank balance, and then 3 million is what we have invested currently.
All right, and so what would this resolution seek to do since we're?
This is-
the deal?
Yeah, so great question. This is just establishing a policy, a formal policy, because right now we don't really have a formal policy for investing. So this is establishing an investment policy.
And state law requires you to have an investment policy in place that prioritizes the items that were on the screen a minute ago, liquidity, safety. And this sets out kind of the guardrails for what you could invest in that would still meet those requirements.
Because it just seemed like, because we already have rules like this in place now, if we're gonna be doing that with the money, but I get it.
We don't have the policy
writing.
in place. This
At
is
least
put
in
in
writing.
writing.
And I second your motion then.
Okay, all in favor?
Roll call.
Oh, okay. Sorry, go ahead, roll call.
Secretary Guy,
Yes.
acting president, Director Clayton,
Yes.
Director Rodriguez.
Yes.
Okay. Next, item number 8, resolution 956, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Santa Maria Public Airport District adopting a reserve policy.
Yeah, so the reserve policy, I'm gonna go to my next slide. It identifies the method and amount the district will try to retain in reserves. The reserves are going to be based off of our operating expenditures per budget year. So for fiscal year 25-26, it would be that $1 million figure. And that's the minimum reserve that we would want to keep on hand. The maximum reserve is set there as kind of a limit. That way we don't have too much of a reserve. That we're not, either investing in infrastructure or, other airport costs. The reserve itself is going to be evaluated throughout the year with forecasts and projections, along with the financial statements that are presented to you. And the acceptable use of reserves are going to be short-term relief due to unexpected non-recurring costs or economic conditions, or they're to be used as one-time revenues by the general manager with priority given to fund an economic uncertainty fund, which is a fund that essentially we wouldn't touch unless, there was poor economic conditions. But with that, was there any questions?
Then that would just build up from year to year then, is that it?
Correct.
Leaving-
And unless the operating expenditures, the reason it's a percentage is because when you have a fixed cost, if your operating expenditures go down year over year, you would want your reserve to kind of cover whatever your operating expenditures are going to be for a certain period of time. This is based off of about a 3-month average. So it's about 3 months worth of expenses that we would be able to cut. Not including like big capital improvement projects or.
And if we can afford all that, I'm on a yes.
Well, let's,
We're working on that.
Okay,
we're looking for a motion to approve resolution 956
I'll make that motion.
We're not roll calling?
and a second,
Aye.
and then she's gonna roll
Okay.
call our votes.
So yes, I say.
Acting President Guy,
Yes.
Director Clayton.
Yes.
Director Rodriguez.
Yes.
Okay, item number 9, which is resolution 957, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Santa Maria Public Airport District adopting a debt management policy.
Yeah, okay, and this is my last slide, and then we're done with all my policies for now. The debt management policy, this is really a framework for which we can issue debt. This is required if we were to ever issue debt such as bonds or, really, we should be using this if we were to ever take out a loan as well. And so this is going to outline when debt can be issued, when debt shouldn't be issued, and then the FAA and state considerations. Again, FAA requires that revenue generated be used exclusively for airport capital or operating costs. So, whatever kind of airport revenue we get, we can't be using for, funding anything other than airport costs. And that is outlined in the debt management policy, again, in more detail in your agenda packet. But with that, is there any questions?
Nope, no questions
Is
here. Okay,
That is good.
then may I request a motion to approve?
I approve.
Making a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Roll call?
President Guy,
Yes.
Director Clayton.
Yes.
Director Guy,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, that moves us on to item number 10. We're going to move out of the financial portion of the meeting. Item number 10, authorization for the president and secretary to execute the First Amendment of Service Agreement between the district and Tartaglia Engineering for the rehabilitation of runway 1230.
This is essentially just an extension of their contract, the time of the contract for what was,
What we just discussed.
change orders, let's close out that project. So, it's all very good.
Any questions? Any
I'll
discussion?
make a motion, we approve it.
I think.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Okay, motion carries. So item number 11, authorization for the president and secretary to execute the Second Amendment of Service Agreement between the district and Tartaglia Engineering for the landside improvement project.
Again, this is a project we're working on that requires additional time for their contract.
Which part's the land side?
So, well, we were looking at doing, there's landside improvements. We've kind of put a pause on it because of financial reasons.
Is that the portion between the runway and the?
No, it's landside, it's outside the fence line.
Oh,
So we're looking at,
outside.
we're looking at a number of things we were gonna do, but we've kind of stopped because we wanted to get our financial straight. Maybe now we got the money.
Yeah,
That's
but
right.
if this improves the asphalt that goes around the district office, I would be in favor of that.
We have an entire plan to do that and it's expensive and
Yeah, it
it's
is.
just not a spot.
No, okay. So to your point, we're going to work on becoming more financially prudent before we address future expenditures, but nonetheless, this extends the agreement that we currently have between Tartaglia and us. Okay. Any further discussion?
No, that's why I said we got the policies, right?
Yeah.
That's good, I like it.
Okay, well, this is item number 11. Does somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Well, second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Okay, item number 12. Authorization for the president and secretary to execute the Sixth Amendment of Service Agreement between the district and Tartaglia Engineering for the U.S. Customs Building upgrades.
Hopefully this will be the last time we do this and we just need to add adequate time in their contract to close everything out.
Well, are these the last items that are anticipated based upon having a staff member occupy the space?
We've already turned the building over, but there were some small details that just need adequate contract period to make sure that all these loose ends, and you know, these people would come on, we just, you know,
Are they asking for more money or just?
no,
No.
Just time.
it's just to finish out the contract and close it out. We're coming to a conclusion, but we're not gonna have it done by the end of March. So can we have 3 more months, please?
Yeah.
That's basically what I think.
Okay, so.
Yeah, motion approved.
Oh, okay, so you're asking to kick this 3 more months so we can get all our ducks in a row?
We're just extending their contracts, that Tartaglia is still working on this task. Because it ends at the end of this month, and we're not done with them yet on this project.
Yes,
So you second?
I do.
Okay, all in favor? Aye, none opposed, motion carries. Item number 13, authorization for the president and secretary to execute an agreement of sale of the conservation credits between the Santa Maria Public Airport District and Rancho Purisima LLC in connection with the La Purisima Conservation Bank. So I read the information, but it's a little difficult to understand. Like, I understand, Craig, based upon what you said in the last meeting, so thank you for that. But are we missing anything, or could you give us an overview?
I will do my best to give you an overview. It's a little bit of a dense contract that I inherited from, my predecessor, so, I'll say that up front. That's not anything negative about Josh.
Yes, no.
You're dealing with a state agency and a federal agency, it's gonna be dense. So as a part of the settlement agreement in 2024 over the California Tiger Salamander, among the things the district agreed to do was to deposit $5 million over time into this mitigation fund. And that was essentially the price that the district had to pay for the take of the Tiger Salamander going back over time. After that settlement agreement was entered into, the 2 resource agencies, Fish and Wildlife and federal feds, decided that the way they wanted that fund administered was to have the money then transferred to a mitigation bank. And mitigation banks are landowners, different public places in the state that get paid to keep their property undeveloped so that different environmental impacts can be mitigated. It might be trees get planted. In this case, it's protecting the habitat of California, the tiger salamander. So the resource agencies want the money the district has already contributed to be paid to the La Purisima Conservation Bank in order to buy credits for California tiger salamander preservation. This isn't committing the district to pay any more money than you already decided to pay in 2024. This agreement is just deciding where the latest installment of $1 million goes to. You approved an agreement like this in June of 2025. That purchase was made, that deal was closed. This is the same deal.
Same deal.
As June, in June 2025. The resource agencies, and it's attached to your report, have approved this transfer. From the district's perspective, I can think of no reason why we care where the money goes. We have to contribute the money, we have contributed the money. It doesn't really matter to the district where those CTS get preserved. If the resource agencies want to be preserved in La Purisima, that seems fine. So that's what's before you, is essentially just an agreement with La Purisima saying, yeah, take this money out of this bank account and transfer it over here.
And
There's
that's-
no new commitments, and there's no new extension of anything you have to pay. That $5 million is still the $5 million. This is just where the $5 million, where the current $1 million is going.
And that's right in line with our contract we entered into in 2024.
It is. The contract actually says that the agencies can tell you where to put the money, and that's what they're doing here.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, I'm asking for a motion to approve item number 13, authorization follow-up.
And that money's already been put up.
Allocated.
You already paid.
It's already been
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a motion to approve.
No, second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, motion it carries. Okay, item number 14 goes to closed session. So you'll turn it off and I will be exiting the room for closed session. Okay, we've left closed session, Craig?
The members of the board met in closed session regarding the item on the posted agenda, took no reportable action. Director Guy recused himself from the closed session due to a continuing conflict of interest.
Thank you very much, appreciate it. Okay, last we're left with director's comments. Director Rodriguez, do you mind if we start with you?
Sure. I appreciate what you guys are doing. I think you guys are doing a great job. It's always easy for people outside to criticize and to blame. And I think that we need to realize that we do try to do the best for the community. And then we need things and we try to implement things. Sometimes these things don't go to plan. And I appreciate you guys doing these financial policies that really makes everything a little more legitimate for us. So thank you.
Okay, great, thank you, Director Rodriguez. Director Clayton?
Disappointed with American Airlines. And we just needed a little more time, we would have been able to do better. I just think if we'd have got through the summer months, we'd have been looking good. It was picking up. I just feel it would have been picking up. And I just feel like 5 months from October the 15th to May the 7th. And it was, we were cinched before that. We were hung before that. And it's just 5 months. That was nothing. It's just disappointing because we had a great airlines, and the times that I was on it was packed. Coming back, it was packed. Going over, it was 45%. And that was probably our downfall. So with the going international, I really appreciate the fact that you're hitting up the people that make the difference in how we're going to be able to conduct our international life over here and be able to grow in that fashion. I think you need to rub up against the elbows, up against more of those people down in those places and go to those functions so you can talk to the schedulers and the traffic guys and the programmers and everybody that knows we're an international airport and we're going to pick up and we're going to move off of that. And in the future, I'm going to be asking that we build and we grow this place. If we're waiting for planes to show up while we're waiting, let's be a good steward of our money and let's grow this place. And let's maximize our money and let's build. And if you build it, they're gonna come and let's do it. And all the while we're handling ourselves with our resolutions that we just agreed to, all the while that we're inside that structure. I think we're gonna move forward, and I think we're gonna get more opportunities and more planes. I think that's gonna come along, but while we're waiting for that to happen, let's increase our bottom line. So we have more money to throw at these planes. Seems like that's the bottom line. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you, Director Clayton. I will say that I'm very heartbroken by the comments that I've seen on Facebook and some of the comments I've received in the community about American Airlines deciding to close, and comments that are directed at airport directors and staff members, when I know how much work everybody's been doing. We've all been giving this our effort during work hours, outside work hours. We've attended multiple events. I mean, tens of events. Carrie, you've supplied me information, a lot of information as we go, so that we can report it out to the community, as well as information so that we can see what we can do differently with American Airlines. Martin, you've done so much in the community, getting the word out, letting people know, attending events, doing presentations. There's been so much activity by this group, and I really appreciate it. The other board members, what you've done, I mean, you've had these, I won't call them fundraisers, but you've had these fun events in order to get the word out in the community, as well as what you've done in your office and on the radio. I don't understand. I never thought in October we would end up here. I didn't think so. Obviously, it was in the back of our minds. Going back to a comment that Director Clayton and I were having, it's really unfortunate that American Airlines sent us planes in October and are pulling them up in May, so that we will be missing the busiest time, the busiest season. Every airline knows you need June, July, August, and then there's the shoulders. So they can get anywhere from 3 to 6 months. And we're missing it, unfortunately. And those were the months that I think that was really going to enhance the load factor. Unfortunately, we are where we are. And as General Manager Pell had said, we need to focus on what we've got. We need to continue to ensure that what we already have stays strong. And we need to go ahead and keep our eyes focused forward and drive the ship forward, irrespective of the comments. Because I've shared with Martin comments that I've received, and they're heartbreaking. You know, this is heartbreaking. What people in the community will say.
It's sad.
It's sad because they're uninformed, but I'd rather that they would ask us questions. So I have actually reached out to a few of the naysayers. I've given them my cell phone numbers so that we can talk, because I don't want them to be half talked in the community with half information. So I'm going to do my part, what we can. But I'm heartbroken by that. But that aside, we have a job to do, and I do appreciate that Martin and Carrie are working with us to break it down now. What did we do right? What did we do wrong? We need to go ahead and understand.
Lessons learned.
Yeah, lessons learned, so that the next time our next go around, that we perform better. Because there are things that we could have done better. There's a lot of things that we did great, but there are things we could have done better in the timing of things. So we're going to take that as learning action, and we'll go from there.
Well, I'm making a motion if you're done.
Well, I have one more.
Oh, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
I wanted to also thank Mike for all the work that you've done, the effort that you put in to educate us, the effort that you put in order to make sure that we're following protocol and procedure as required. Craig, thank you so much for helping to, like you said, guide rails. And I like that, because you provided a lot of structure for us in order to help us to do our job better. And I appreciate that so much. And Mike, that's exactly what you've done too. So I want to say thank you to the staff. And on that note, meeting adjourned.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh,
adjourn that meeting.
Oh, motion second?
I think-
Okay, meeting adjourned. There we go. Thank you.
I know what it is, but I just